Welcome to the Words of Wisdom podcast. This is the place to be to raise the consciousness within in order to create a life and business of ease, flow, and freedom. This podcast offers inspiring stories, strategies, and special guests to help you become your most aligned self. I am Minerva Maharaj, a former NBA Toronto Raptors dancer turned ICF accredited spiritual life coach, founder of Goddess of Wisdom Spiritual Life Coaching, and Star Seed Academy coach training. My soul's mission is to show you the impossible is truly possible. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Let's get to awakening your soul's wisdom. Everybody, to another episode of Words of Wisdom. I'm your host, Minerva Maharaj. Today, I would like to share a topic with you that I see coming up with a lot of my spiritual coaches, soul service providers, and just really anyone in general, any of my private clients who are just having trouble with time. The topic today is what to do when you don't have enough time to get everything done. So do you have like a huge to-do list as a mom, as a business owner, even at work when your 9-to-5 job and it just doesn't seem to get done? It's just overflowing and it just keeps growing and growing, and so does your anxiety and overwhelm. Well, I have 4 steps that I use to create more time and space and to get everything done and have leftover time. As a business owner, as a certified coach, as a school director and instructor for Star Seed Academy, and having my own private practice. So I have 2 businesses. I have a 3-year-old toddler, and I have our second baby on the way, and married, and still have lots of time, and to create lots of time for myself to do the things I want to do. Trust me, time is obviously of an issue, and I think we all have so many things on our plate, no matter whether you're married, have kids, or business or not. We all have busy lives, right? So I wanted to share these 4 steps no matter where you are in life. If you're craving more time, this will help you create more time and also more energy to do things that you want to do. So here are my 4 tips. Number 1, affirm, I have more than enough time. I have more than enough time. Affirm this before you do any of your tasks. It can even be beginning of the day before you start doing or thinking about your to-do list. At any time, I have more than enough time. I have more than enough time, and just keep affirming that. I normally work about 3.5, 4 days max, but I have scheduled out my day so that I'm just working 3.5 days a week. And the other times is for my daughter, it's for myself, it's for my husband, it's for family time, because that's important to me. And that's with running 2 businesses, just working 3.5 days a week. Yeah, there's some days I work a little bit more, but it's by choice, and that's what I want to do because I have the energy to do it. And obviously, there's some deadlines that come up with running a new school and all, but overall, I still feel I had that time, space, and freedom in my schedule. So I affirm quite often, I have more than enough time. I have more than enough time. The other day, I dropped off my daughter to her grandma's and I went for a walk. I came home. I just felt like tidying up before I can start working. And then the groomer called to pick up my dog a little earlier than I expected, just as I was about to sit down and work. And then by the time I got to my desk, it was 1 o'clock. And one moment came up in my mind of like, oh shit, I only have like 3-4 hours to work before I have to go pick up my daughter, because we really try to keep evenings for family time and dinner time together. In that moment, I said, I have more than enough time. I have more than enough time. And so after lunch, I started working at 1 o'clock and I finished up my day even before 5 o'clock, even though I had like 3 podcast episodes to record, even though I'm writing the next chapter for Star Seed Academy's manual. I have more than enough time. And then it was exciting and it just flowed and I accomplished it without feeling that stress during that time. So going in with that mindset, I have more than enough time. I have more than enough time changes the energy before you approach and start doing whatever task at hand. So number 1, affirm I have more than enough time. Tip number 2, Choose only 1 to 3 things you must do or want to do. I really like the word want to do, what really lights you up. But I also get there's some things that are important to do in your business or in your job that is time sensitive. Now, find a way to make that fun as well, right? But really, when it comes down to this point, is choose only 1 to 3 things that you must do. I have this agenda and it only numbered 1, 2, and 3 per day of like the things to do. And at first I was like, holy shit, well, I have more things to do than 3 things. But eventually I just only started condensing it to 3 things I have to do that day. And now really only 2 main things I focus on a day in terms of my business. And I get so much more done. We have this huge list, and there's just always going to be a running list. You can create a running list for sure, that things I have to do at some point. But really, you have to ask yourself, what's really important? What is time sensitive? And what lights me up? Because if it doesn't light you up, especially this point, if it doesn't light you up, then why are you going to do it and put that draining, low, heavy energy into that task? Wouldn't it turn out so much better if you do it at a time when you are lit up, you are excited, you are inspired? So take a look at your list. What is really important? Not everything is important. You might think it is, but is it truly important? So choose only 1 to 3 things. If you have a huge list, start with 3, but then see if you can condense it down to even 2 or maybe even 1 thing. And you are also going to feel more accomplished once you knock off those 1, 2, 3 things off of your list in the allotted time that you have for your business or job or your to-do list at home, whatever it is. So number 2 is only choose 1 to 3 things you must focus on a day. Number 3, set a timer. This is actually one of my new favorite things. You may have heard this before, but I invite you to hear this again and try this. Like I mentioned, I'm writing the manual and I have my new school that just launched this year and it's going really well. And it does require some little extra work and some evenings. And I do my best to keep evenings and weekends free. There's the odd time that I would have to do something after dinner, after my daughter's in bed. And I would just put a timer. I'm like, okay, I'm only going to work for an hour or an hour and a half right now, whatever feels good. And that way it doesn't feel like, oh gosh, I'm going to work for the rest of the night. I also find if you don't have a timer, you end up spreading out that time more than you actually need. And I would set a timer on my phone for an hour, hour and 15, maybe even 30 minutes to get that task done. And it's almost like a fun game for yourself, but it's so interesting how you can condense what you need to do in that allotted time. And so many times since I've started this whole timer game thing, I would finish that task before the timer is even done. So whether it's laundry or dishes, house cleaning, writing, social media content, writing only a certain part of your website at a time, not the whole thing, do it in that allotted time. You'll see how much you can actually get done. You become more productive and you have leftover time, which feels even more rewarding. So try the timer game because that will honestly work. Number 4, once you have accomplished what you had at hand, whatever task that you just completed, no matter where you are on the timer, no matter how much you finished, how much you did not finish, you're going to affirm, what I have done is more than enough. What I have done is more than enough. To the point that what I even do at 5 o'clock every day, a reminder goes on in my calendar that says, what I have done is more than enough. And I just sit there and I breathe into that, I feel into that, and that's sort of my transition for ending the work I was doing and going into picking up my daughter, spending time with family. So that's also important, that transition. But it just feels so rewarding and affirming that whatever I have done is more than enough, because what you have done is enough. That's enough for that moment. And when you go through these new steps of affirming you have more than enough time, just choosing the top 3 things that light you up or the most priority to you, setting a timer, and then affirming what you have done accomplished during that allotted time is more than enough. Such a different energy. And honestly, what happens when you start doing this, you get more done. You feel more accomplished. And you actually have more energy to do what it is you want when you want. So you even have the opportunity, if you wanted to, like, okay, I'm going to do another social media posts. Okay, I'm going to do some more planning. Okay, I can get ahead on tomorrow's agenda. Or, okay, now I'm going to go for a walk. Now I'm going to take a moment to go outside to have some tea by myself in the backyard. Whatever it is, going through this list and honoring your time, affirming you have more than enough time will create more time for you. I hope you find these tips helpful. Let me know in the reviews. Take a screenshot and tag us on Starseed Academy Coach Training, as well as Goddess of Wisdom Coach, and let us know how this episode resonates with you and if you've saved some time and energy to get all your tasks done. Sending you so much love and light. I'll see you next time.